On the menu today, we're cooking venison. Pause here for your ingredients, otherwise let's get going. So start by seasoning your venison steak, then we'll add some rosemary and crushed garlic to a backpack bag, and of course the steak, and a little knob of butter. And now backpack and throw into your water bath. This needs to be at 57 degrees for about 1 hour. Whilst that's going, we'll get on with our potatoes. So start by cutting the ends off and then just cut them into the height you want. And then you're going to run a knife around it as carefully as you can, keeping the shape fairly round. Now this next bit's optional, but I like the way it looks. Just run a peeler around the top and bottom to give it a beveled edge. Once you're happy with the shape, put these in water to rinse off any of the excess starch. And we'll just prep a couple more. That was easy. Next up, dry them off well, and then you want to get a pan on a low to medium heat with a bit of oil and butter in. Now fry for about 10 minutes, or until they've just started to brown on one side. Now take your potatoes out and throw in a bit of crushed garlic, a couple of knobs of butter, some of your demi glace, and then top up with chicken stock. You want the chicken stock to come just to the top of the potatoes. Now into the oven at 160 for about an hour. Now for the mushroom puree, I'm going to use some shiitake, king oyster, regular oyster, and these chestnut mushrooms. Get that all into a hot pan with some oil, and then we'll throw in some roughly chopped shallot and garlic. Saute that for about 6 minutes, or until the mushrooms shrink and darken. Transfer into a clean bowl, and I'm also going to add a ramekin of salt here. And we're going to use this portable smoker just to give it a quick smoke. Now this gun is no replacement for a traditional smoker, but it is good for quick small jobs like this. Anyway, to use this, you just fill the chamber up with your favourite wood, set it on fire, let it go out, turn the machine on, and then you can just pump smoke into whatever you like and cover it with cling film to trap the smoke in there. So once you're full of smoke, you can just put that aside for 30 minutes, and we'll get on with some root vegetables. So I'm going to start by cleaning out the tops of my chantenay carrots. And then next up, I just want to cut down all the rest of my root veg to match its size so that it all cooks evenly. And then for my king oyster mushrooms, I'm just going to score this crosshatch pattern in. This is going to brown nicely when I come to saute it later. And we'll just cut the rest of our mushrooms up into halves or quarters. So back to that root veg, just grab yourself a piece of tin foil, and then we're going to get in all the root veg, drizzle over a little bit of oil, season, wrap it up, and then throw it in the oven with those fondant potatoes. Back to the mushrooms now. I'm just going to remove my salt, that's ready to go, and I'll use that later. Otherwise the mushrooms are just going to go into this blender and puree until smooth with a little bit of chicken stock. Don't forget to check the seasoning. Okay, we're nearly there. So we're going to set a pan onto very high heat with a little bit of oil in, take our venison out of the water bath, dry it thoroughly, and then into our hot pan for a short period of time just to get a nice bit of browning on it without overcooking the steak. Once the venison's done, we'll take it out into a warm tray and just let it rest. Saute all your mushrooms in that same pan you cooked the steak in, and lastly, whilst the venison rests, we're just going to make the sauce. So start with roughly chopped shallot and garlic, saute until you just get a little bit of colour on it, and then we'll add a little bit of rosemary, red wine, blackberry jam, some of our demi glace, and then squeeze in about half a lime, and then reduce until thickened. Once thickened, strain all the solids out, and then we'll emulsify a little bit of butter in by just putting cold butter into our hot sauce and swirling the pan around until it's all melted in there. Last job now, we're just going to make up a little bit of rosemary butter to finish our carrots in, so nothing to it really, just chop up some rosemary and garlic, and throw it in a bowl with some butter. I'm just going to throw this in the oven for 5 minutes to take that edge off the garlic. Then we can take our root vegetables out, chop the carrots in half lengthways, throw them in the butter, and then we'll just toss that all through. And by now your fondant should be ready, just check them with a knife to make sure they're soft all the way through. Now our steak's had a good 10 minutes rest, we're just going to slice it, and we're ready to plate. See you next week.